Green Lantern War Journal, issue 6, Phillip Kennedy Johnson writing with Montos on the art. So, this is a good example of a counter thing to something we complained about last week with Batman, where Zarsky brought in this character from the night that he wanted to bring back and make it tie into one of his things. This issue is actually guilty of this as well, but it's guilty of it in a way that I think we're both going to like, because it's the stuff from Warworld. So, the Warworld saga with Olgrin.
It makes it seem so much more epic now, right?
Yes.
Like, the Revenant Queen stuff felt epic in the way that she was jumping universes and multiverses, and she has this big thing with Jon Stewart and wanting to corrupt him. That already felt big enough. Then we tie that the Revenant are a piece of Olgrin from the first world, so he's the god of gods.
Yeah, and she's like his daughter, or she's like an avatar of his daughter, or something like that. Yeah,
of the daughter. So it adds this layer onto the Green Lanterns now, that it's not just like alien stuff, right? We're playing with mythological concepts, and it just makes me think of we always hear that Jon Stewart's the builder, right? He's the architect. So to add this leveling up of him, and we're bringing in the mythology from Warworld onto it, like, Phillip Kennedy Johnson is doing that fantasy stuff again, but now through another sci-fi lens.
Yeah, there's also this extra element here where the virus itself is not, it's not a virus. It's actually is based to do with the spectrum of light. It's like pure light energy that's like taking over people, which actually is kind of what gives John the idea to kind of like turn himself into just light. Like, can he transform using Green Lantern energy? And that's seemingly what he does, and he uses it by the end of this issue to seemingly protect Shepard, the Green Lantern, who gets stabbed eventually from the other.
Bro, I thought he got red-shirted for reals. I go, man, I gasped reading this, and my wife goes, what? I'm making comic book stuff. Don't worry about it. Because I'm not going to explain the whole Jon Stewart, Shepard, all that stuff. And so the fact that John, again, as the builder, he figures a way out and to purge this from him so it doesn't go, and to save Shepard and to keep him going. It was some really cool stuff.
I think establishing that the Revenant virus, for lack of a better term, establishing that is just the spread of a specific type of light energy, like a Green Lantern light, really does feel. It feels like it justifies to me that then knowing that a Green Lantern can maybe do something with their own light to counteract it. Like, it feels like a natural conclusion once you realize that's all it is.
Right. And then when we seen the constructs, especially this is where I think that the Green Lantern book and this book are working hand in hand, learning about how the light is reacting different now since the power batteries are gone, and what does that mean for Ellie, the construct that he left to watch over Mom,
the construct of his little sister.
Yeah. So is she sentient? Or is she just a piece of him that he has left behind? It adds all these questions and layers to the story.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, because obviously there's a little tease with her, with the mother reading a book to her at the start, and just a little green bit of glow in her eye to remind us that she's just a construct. But then it goes into the big fighting stuff where they're fighting the zombie horde, if you will. John's building himself a green mech suit, whereas what's his face, Shepard's doing big dragons and stuff like that. So there's a lot of fun stuff. I mean, but admittedly, if you're going to make a critique, is that there's just a lot of action in the middle. A lot of this big stuff we're talking about is at the end. But still, fun enough to look at. Montos's art is very good. Although I will say, I do think Montos's art excels even more in non-fight stuff. I think his fight stuff's solid. It's really good. But it's the more emotional one-on-one conversations that I think his art shines, because he does really good heavy inks to show the emotion, that stuff. Even just that first page with the mom and the construct of the little sister, the way that sells the happiness of her and how sort of bittersweet it feels because we know it's a lie. It's just all there in the art. It's so good.
Yeah, well, because that last panel on that page, on the first page, where you get the glint of green, it's almost an afterthought because you get so focused on Mom being happy, right? Because we've seen what her condition has been like for her, and the sheer terror it's brought on her. And here she's like comfortable and happy, and it almost feels like the calm before the storm, you know. And that's all just told through facial expressions.
Yeah.
You know.
So once the Revenant Queen reveals that she's connected to Olgrun, she grabs John, who's in like green light form at this point, and basically takes him to the place of the gods, where he will now be like, the reason why they want a Jon Stewart, is because he's a fitting host for Olgrun, to inhabit. So this is all about bringing him into the world, effectively.
It's very, very Darkseid-esque, right?
Yeah.
When Darkseid needed a vessel before Final Crisis, which I like.
So the cliffhanger of this issue is that seemingly he's been taken, because Shepard's left on his own, and he's like, oh god, Builder, where are you, Builder? And then the final page is back to his mum and the little sister construct. And, you know, the mum was asking earlier, do you think your brother will be home soon? At the end here, she's looking out the window, sees this, Revenant symbol appearing in the sky, and says, I think John's going to be a while. It's kind of interesting as well that both the first and last page with the mother have this sort of green kind of vines and like light sort of like design around the panels. It's an interesting differentiation from the rest of the book.
Yeah, and as they get closer to that symbol, you know, they start to get like spikier and more menacing. You know,
and it's almost like this before it gets spikier as well. It's like more like there's light in it, whereas by the time you get to the spiky part, it's like most of the lights disappear. It's just solid green.
Yeah, for sure. The thing with Olgrun, right? Don't we have Olgrun's fire being it's occurring in one of the twins?
Yes, so, the
boy.
girl.
No, it was the boy that has the powers. So. Which I already forgot their names. I feel terrible.
It's Ozil and Othil.
There we go. And Osil's the boy, I believe. Anyways.
I can't help you with that one, but I can tell you what the names are.
Either way, my point is, we have Olgrun trying to come back, right, from the first world, but we have his power base in the boy. So I'm wondering if this is what ties the United Planets back into that War World stuff with Olgrun. You know, through here, like, is this part of the bigger plan? Is Olgrun kind of just taking advantage of the United Planet's lack of control over things in order to spread this throughout? I don't know if one has to do with the other, but
I will say,
I'm here to find out.
Reading this issue, I was like, man, is Johnson not going to get a second book now that action is done? I would really appreciate one. So I hope they announce something for like maybe after the event. And I know he's got other stuff cooking, like in indie books and stuff, but hopefully he gets something, because I could be doing with it.
I needs it.
Yeah. I will say the art as well, the Revenant Queen, where she's just sort of like blacks and purples, and like just like it's just like this like dark light, effectively. Also really cool. In contrast, obviously, really well with the green, because it's they're very much
this form of purple does like whatever it is, because it's not quite violet. It's not like indigo. It's not stuff that we're used to seeing. It's this off, like almost lavender color, and it plays off the green really well. Yeah.
All right. Very interesting stuff. Curious to see where we go with this. What are you giving this issue, Green Lantern War Journal?
I'm going to give this 8.5.
I think I'll go straight 8, just because, a lot of the middle of the issue is just a big fight, and, so I will say that maybe it kind of lowers it a little bit. Especially when I had like another issue this week, which was a perfect example of how you nail an issue that's mostly fighting. This was really good, and I like what it set up at the end, and the emotional stuff's really good. Montos's art is very good, so 8 out of 10 for me.